If you've done the grounding, you felt your feelings, why do you still feel kind of empty? You did everything right. You regulated your nervous system. You felt your feelings. You found safety in your body. And now you're just calm, maybe, but not alive. Like you're standing in a clean and empty room and you have no idea what to put in it. If that is where you are, listen to me. You are not failing. Healing can leave you feeling like a blank slate. But that blank slate, that's not failure. That is an opportunity. Many people stop after ground and feel. Then they think something is wrong with them when motivation doesn't magically reappear. But here is what nobody tells you. After safety and emotional release, your nervous system needs new experiences to wire towards. Not just away from pain, but towards pleasure, towards life. And that is what we are talking about today. This is the glow phase of the Paradise Path. Step 3, ground, feel, glow, create, and rise. Let me show you where we've been. Ground was safety, nervous system regulation, finding stability, and coming out of survival mode. Feel was emotional release, expression, clearing out stored energy, getting rid of any gunk clouding your mind, clouding your mission, clouding your purpose. And now, glow. This is where we replace old patterns with pleasure-based neural pathways. This is creating a beautiful relationship with your body, with your mind, and your soul. Because once we've grounded, once we've found safety, once we've felt our feelings, we are left starting from scratch, starting fresh with our emotions, our feelings, our energy. And the best way to rewire neural pathways is pleasure. Glow is not a reward. It is the next step of healing. Here is what you need to understand about your brain. When you change your neural pathways, you change how you think, how you feel, and act based on replacing old messages with new messages, new neural pathways. So let me explain how this works. Your brain wires on repetition and emotion. Whatever you do repeatedly, whatever has emotional weight, your brain builds neural pathways for. Strong pathways, deep pathways, automatic pathways. So if you have spent years in survival mode, if you have spent years in trauma and stress and overwhelm, your brain builds pathways for hypervigilance, productivity equals worth, and guilt around rest and pleasure. These become your defaults. That is when even when you know you need to rest, your body still feels like it should be doing something. That is not weakness. That is wiring. And here's the crucial part. After ground and feel, these old pathways have been softened. The emotional charge has been released and the brain is plastic again. Neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire, the ability to change. But here is the part that most people miss. Once you have this clean slate of being grounded and expressing your feelings, you need to replace it with something new. If you don't consciously replace old pathways, your brain will default back to them every single time. So you have to give your brain something new to wire towards. And the best thing for that is pleasure. Joy, play, sensuality, connection, these tell your nervous system, this is safe. This is worth moving towards. Life is full of goodness. And that is how your brain starts building new pathways. Pathways that move you towards life, not just away from pain. So what is glow? Glow is pleasure, play, joy, sensuality, intimacy, relationships, connection, curiosity, comfort, and presence. It's doing things just for fun, relaxing, enjoying yourself. There is no agenda, there is no timeline, and there is no expectations of anything. You can do whatever you want. Glow has no agenda. It's about the things that light you up, like taking the long way because it has a better view, or watching a movie that you love to laugh with, seeing people and friends, gathering with loved ones, enjoying their company just for the pure pleasure of it, and not trying to get anything out of it. Just the people you love and surrounding yourself with those people, or finding those people if they're not in your life already. Really slowing down, really enjoying, finding the joy, finding the play. And here's what glow is not. It's not output, it's not monetization, it's not optimization, it's not healing homework, it is not a self-improvement project. This is an activity that has no outcome. We are not monetizing this. It is very important that this activity exists just as is, just for joy, just for pleasure. Because your nervous system needs experiences that are not about survival, not about achieving anything, not about doing or becoming better. Your nervous system needs to know that life is worth living, not surviving, living. Here's something that you need to understand. You knew how to do this once. When you were a child, play was natural, curiosity was natural, pleasure was natural. You didn't need permission, you didn't feel guilty, you just did what felt good. And then capitalism trained it out of you. Society trained it out of you. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you to stop. And now you're an adult who has forgotten how to play. So this is about connecting to your inner child, doing things and activities that light you up. In the next video, we're going to dive deeper into practices to connect with the inner child, but here's one thing I want you to do. Next time you're in a department store, I want you to go and walk in the toy aisle. Not to buy anything necessarily, but just to remember. Just to remember the joy of playing with those toys, or even to remember the desire for something you never had. What lit you up as a kid? What made you lose track of time? What felt like freedom? Maybe there is something there that you could have as a little reminder to your inner child. Buying something small purely just because it delights you, or even putting up a photo of yourself when you were at an age that was more vulnerable. To remember parts of yourself, to remember what that child wanted and desired, and to give it to yourself. You're not being childish, you are not being immature. You are restoring a natural human function. Because childhood is when play and curiosity and pleasure were the most natural. Before you were taught that they didn't matter. Before you were taught that they weren't productive. And now let's dive into finding comfort. Because for me, some of the most pleasurable activities are just resting in a cozy spot in my house. Find comfort wherever you can. Whatever feels good to you. And understanding what is comfortable for you. Glow looks different for everybody. Maybe it's a comfortable bed. Maybe it's a comfortable spot in your home. Maybe there is comfort in exploration. Maybe it's emotional comfort, like language or journaling. This is actually a really good time to look up your moon sign. Your moon sign in astrology represents your emotional comfort needs, what makes you feel safe and what nourishes you. So look it up. You just need your birth date and time if possible. See what you are, and then search what that moon sign needs for comfort. Learning what my moon sign was brought me so much peace and validation. For me, I'm a Cancer moon. Cancer is actually where the moon is at home. So I'm a very moody moon. I'm very emotional, but I'm very emotionally filled by being at home with my family, feeling safe and protected. This is emotionally fulfilling to me. Some of my favorite moments are just sitting on the couch with a blanket and a cup of tea and a book and just reading with my dog curled up beside me. To me, that is the most comforting emotional place I can be in. And so when I travel, and I am on the road a lot, I make sure to find a place that makes me feel safe. And I have no problem spending a little bit of extra money on things that help bring that sense of comfort to me, like extra blankets or candles or snacks. This is how I feel safe, so I can feel at home even when I'm on the road and all these new and different places. So find that thing. Find what works for you. Maybe it's physical comfort, softness and warmth. Maybe it's emotional safety, familiarity and routine. Maybe it's exploration, newness and adventure. Maybe it's information and conversation. There is no right way. There is just the way that works for you. Now, if doing any of these things feels overwhelming or frivolous, remember, what you need might just be to rest. Because sometimes we're just still really tired. And the best, most pleasurable thing we can do is just to rest. Have a nap, take a break. A lot of people have a hard time just relaxing because their nervous systems are not wired to relax. That is why ground is the most important step to start with, so that we can ground, so that we can find that foundation, that nervous system foundation of healing, so that we can relax and we can enjoy and we can get out of survival mode. Rest is not avoidant. Rest is neurological repair. So if you're not ready for the more active forms of glow, if pleasure feels overwhelming right now, just start with rest. Low energy glow looks like naps or reading with no goals, watching something familiar and comforting, or just having gentle presence with others. If you do feel a little bit more inspired and energized, you can explore more, but there is absolutely no pressure to do anything. There is no timeline. Is just about listening to what your body needs and exploring what your inner child has always wanted. What I really want to emphasize is this. This is not about guilty pleasure. The term guilty pleasure actually came from capitalism. And it basically makes us feel guilty for relaxing, for having pleasure, for indulging in leisurely activities. Because then we're not working, we're not making money, we're not being productive. Guilty pleasure is a capitalist invention. It trains us to feel shame for resting, for joy and leisure. Productivity culture teaches us that pleasure must be earned and rest must be justified. But here is the truth. Pleasure is the fuel for sustainable productivity. If we are feeling alive, if we are feeling fulfillment and joy in our lives, then we become more motivated to go out in the world and create something. And creating something that sustains our pleasure and sustains our leisure time. It becomes this beautiful, endless cycle. The whole point is to work so we can enjoy and be off and enjoy our homes and our families, our friendships, our communities, our social circles. And here is the important distinction. Glow comes before creation, not after success, not as a reward. This does not come after productivity. This is the essential step before productivity to become the highest version of yourself. You don't work to earn pleasure. You cultivate pleasure so that life is worth working for. This is the most critical part that every mindset and productivity and healing guru misses. Joy and pleasure. And this includes sex and intimacy and relationships. This is what life is all about. And it's not that we spend our entire time doing this, but we do enough that lights us up. And without that, without slowing down and finding what that is, finding what lights you up, finding that thing that brings you joy and meaning with absolutely no expectations of outcome or output, just being pure in that moment, then what is the point? What is the point of working so hard? What is the point of all of it? And if we're not building this along the way, we're going to get to the end and find success and realize that it's empty and it's unfulfilling. Without glow, people reach goals and feel empty. Hustle replaces meaning, and addictions substitute fulfillment. Joy becomes outsourced to addictions, drugs and alcohol, gambling and shopping, these quick and easy fix vices. Because what we're all really searching for is fulfillment. Truly, what we are all seeking is to feel pleasure without guilt, to not feel the need to be productive in our enjoyment. It's just about enjoying things for the pure sense of enjoyment. This is how we cure so much of our ailments. This is how we can cure our alignments, because when we are actually feeling good, when we are actually lit up, they cannot sell us the cure as easily. The world, society, capitalism, industrialism, all of it has kept us from this because in their eyes, it makes us less productive. But actually, it makes us more productive and we feel more fulfilled to go after the things we want. With glow, motivation returns organically. And I'm like, okay, I actually want to go back to work. I'm excited to go back and do these things so that I can continue to pursue pleasure in my leisure time because I actually love my life so much. Work feels purposeful and creation feels joyful instead of compulsory. Life feels worth participating in. This is how we find our true humanity and love. So this part is so pivotal in creating our entire fulfilling life. Now, I just need to make something clear. In the next step, we will talk about create. Glow and create, they kind of go hand in hand, but they're very different. Because you can find a lot of joy and pleasure in creation, but the creation part has a different focus. That has a little bit more to do with anxiety and our mental health, and grounding yourself in something more of an output. Create is expression, grounding anxiety through making. But the glow phase is specifically not about output. It is about pleasure, it is about play, it is about softness. It's just about finding things that light you up. Glow is pleasure without output, and create is purposeful expression. They support each other, they feed each other, but they are not the same. And you cannot skip to create without going through glow first. Because if you jump straight into productivity, you're just going to be running the same old pathways again, the same old wirings, and eventually you'll burn out again. In the next video, we are going to talk about how to find that sense of play and practices that help us go deeper to support this phase. I also think it's really important to emphasize that this might feel guilty in your body. This might feel weird in your body, and you might resist this. And that is completely understandable because we have been conditioned to feel guilty for pleasure and leisure time. Capitalism and industrialism have slowly crept into our leisure time, to where we have hobbies that become side hustles and then they're not fun anymore. Or the things that we love and we are good at, we monetize them and then we don't feel good about them anymore. This is the opposite of that. This is about finding moments like laying around with your friends in nature, enjoying the sunshine, eating fruit, laughing, playing, enjoying, talking, reading. That is what life is all about. And this part, glow, is about indulging in those moments without guilt, really being inside those moments, because that is what makes life worth living. And glow may feel uncomfortable at first. The guilt, the resistance, the numbness, these are signs of conditioning, not failure. Rewiring towards joy is an active process. We need to actively rewire our neural pathways to seek pleasure, to seek joy in the little pockets that we can, because that is where motivation really comes from. And the last step is going to be rise, which we will talk about later, but that is when we actually go out and find that meaningful work. You cannot rise without glow. You cannot build a meaningful life without pleasure. And without this step, you will always be searching for that thing that you feel like you need permission to enjoy. This is the glow phase of the Paradise Path. Ground, feel, glow, create, and rise. And you are exactly where you are meant to be. Welcome to Glow, to your return to paradise.